And I'll just let you know that I'm going to spend maybe like the first 15 minutes I'll be talking a little bit. The next 15 minutes we'll be doing some practice, and then we'll spend the rest of the time having a little bit of a discussion. And so today we're going to talk about, I'm just realizing that does it look like I'm in an aquarium? Doesn't it feel like I should have like little fish like hanging down around me, like swimming around? That would be amazing. It's like a lot of blue happening. Just going with that vibe today. Uh, Today we're going to talk about equanimity, which I really is something that I've struggled with some myself. And it turns out in Buddhism, it's actually really important. It's probably the single most quality that appears on the most Buddhist lists. You know, Buddha just loved a list and just made like lists all the time. Equanimity just keeps showing up on all the lists. It's like, oh, if somebody ever says like, do you know the list, the Buddhist list about blah, blah, blah? And you can just be like, oh, is it the one with equanimity on it? They'll be like, yeah, like, you totally sound like you know what you're talking about, right? And so I think one of the misconceptions about equanimity that I had for a long time was that equanimity meant like stoic. I kind of equated equanimity with stoicism, you know, of like the like straight line mouth emoji, and like I'm not reacting to anything, I'm not responding to anything. I'm completely um like, you know, non-responsive essentially. And I was basically like, I'm never going to be like that. That's just not who I am. I get excited about things, I get sad about things make me upset. I have emotions, and sometimes they're big emotions, and like I didn't quite understand like how equanimity could work for me. But since then, I've I think more about equanimity as, instead of like, you know, like trying to like dig a post in the ground and have it just like go down really low and have nothing push into it, I'd like to think of equanimity as being dynamic instead of static. And I think that's really helpful, right? So like, instead of thinking about equanimity as being like this post that's dug into like, you know, the hard ground, to think about equanimity as like an oak tree. Or bamboo, often in Asian cultures, is used as like a way to talk about equanimity. Of like bamboo, because it sways, can sway a lot. It even like the wind can like blow it all the way to the ground, and then it comes back up again, right? And like that sort of dynamic equanimity. I also think about it as like riding a bike, right? That riding a bike, you can ride in like a straight line, right? But you're dynamic, you're moving. And there might be like a little bit of wobble, but you're always like adjusting, right? And you can turn and you can move around things. You're dynamically adjusting moment to moment according to whatever's arising, based on what's needed, based on what this moment needs from you. And so it's like that idea of like having a dynamic center. And I like that as like a better way to understand equanimity. But here's the thing too. I don't All of this seems kind of abstract in some ways to me, right? Like equanimity can just seem kind of abstract. So I like to make equanimity like really concrete, like to think about, when in my life could I really use more equanimity? Right? That's helpful. And there are times like when I missed a deadline, right? When I've lost out on some opportunity that I was really hoping for, when a difficult memory comes up, when I get like sucked into drama about family or friends or work, when I'm feeling anxious about the future, when I'm facing some big obstacle or setback or big decision, or when I'm feeling any like, you know, our typical like unwelcome emotions, right? Like worry, anger, fear, jealousy. And those are times when equanimity would be really helpful, right? And here's the truth. The very first step of equanimity, I think, is noticing that there's something happening that we're resisting. Because in all of these situations that I've described, there's something going on that I'm trying not to feel, right? something happening that I'm trying not to, that I actually want to push away. It's like the aversion is there, right? I don't want this. And it turns out resisting makes things more stressful because not only do I have the aversion, but then I have and the issue that's causing the aversion, right? But I'm trying to push all of that away. And that's even more emotional energy. And so equanimity helps us say, right, ah, yes, this too, right? Can I make space for this? Can I learn from this? Can I see this as part of the bigger whole? Right. And I think it can be really helpful to think in your life about where you naturally experience equanimity. Right. And so for me, often it's equanimity naturally comes up when I can look back into the past. Right. I see my choices, I see my mistakes, I see, like, oh, yeah, I actually needed to make that mistake in order to find my way to this other place. Because of that setback, I ended up where I am right now. Right? It can often be like looking back to times when I was once like devastated or heartbroken and seeing like, oh, right. I had to go through that to get here. That without that pain and difficulty, I never would have changed in these really important ways. And this is a type of equanimity, right? The ability to look back and see how one thing has led to another, how each thing depended on the thing before it. And what it can do is it can give us hope in those moments of difficulty, sometimes when we're in them, or maybe when we're a little bit past them, right? What am I learning even in the midst of this challenge? And so, and there's another piece of it too. And this is another reason why I found equanimity hard, especially when I was just starting out in my Buddhist practice. I would hear teachers talk about equanimity, and they would use these very traditional equanimity phrases. And I shared these with folks on the retreat last week as well. The very traditional equanimity phrases I always like to read in like a robot voice because that's how I hear them in my head. And it's phrases like, all beings are the owners of their karma. Their happiness and unhappiness depend upon their actions, not upon my wishes for them. Right? And can you, right? It sounds like a robot, right? It doesn't sound like talk to the hand, not interested in your problems, right? It's like, and to me, again, that comes back to that stoicism and a sort of like indifference. And I'm not, I have enough of a tendency towards that. Unfortunately, from like, I was like educated as a lawyer and they like totally tried to like, just like whack that out of us, like, any kind of sensitivity or heart forwardness or anything else. And so I feel like I feel like equanimity was too cold. It was too cold. It felt very like icy. And I was like, I actually am not interested in a cold equanimity. I want a warm equanimity. And so I spent a long time looking for phrases that helped. And I went through a really difficult period in my life around divorce and estrangement. And I started realizing like, oh, I need equanimity. So I started listening to like a lot of Dharma talks, like just Dharma talk after Dharma talk after Dharma talk. Where am I going to find this equanimity? And finally, I found a teacher, Heather Sundberg. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Heather, but I heard in one of her talks, she used the phrase, it was a talk about equanimity, and she used the phrase, may I trust the unfolding. May I trust the unfolding. And for me, hearing that phrase was like it was like a light switch got turned on for equanimity. It's like, oh, that has like a warmth to it. There's this sense of like invoking trust. It's like it touched my heart in some way. It gave me this sense of like, can I surrender in some way to this whole thing, right? And when I think of may I trust the unfolding, I think of like this unfolding in the world, right? That there's things, this unfolding that's much larger than myself, but there's also the unfolding in me, right? I am also simultaneously unfolding. And so I'm still bringing my whole self to it. It's not like, I'm just laying down in the bottom of the canoe and not paddling. Like, I'm still paddling, I'm still co-creating with life, but there's this understanding that there's also this much bigger picture that's holding me. And this piece of equanimity is something I don't hear people talk about very much, which is to be intimate with life and at the same time in touch with the immensity of life. So I think about it as like the intimacy and the immensity at the same time. And that is really the unfolding. And I like to use the metaphor of like a tree. And we were working with this last week because we were up at Big Bear and there's so many just gorgeous trees and the Jeffrey pines that like smell so amazing. And so this working with the tree is really good. You can even just like imagine it in your mind. So like you imagine yourself standing in front of a tree and you're looking really carefully at the bark, and you can see like all the crags in the bark, and like some of the cracks are like deeper than others, and maybe there are little insects like crawling along to their homes. Maybe there's like a spot where like a branch had broken off, or a spot where there's like a hole that like a bird could live in. And you're looking at, and you even see like little tiny bits of moss, right, like growing off like little pieces of the bark, right? And so you're intimate with the tree. You're having a moment of intimacy with the tree, and you're breathing with the tree, right? So there's this closeness, this intimacy, this warmth. And at the same time that you're standing in front of the tree, imagine that you can feel the forest behind you as well. You can feel all the other trees, right? Like in your back body, just like feel it in your front body, and in your heart, you're feeling this one tree. And in your back body, you're feeling the immensity of the forest, and breathing with the forest and feeling its wholeness and its aliveness, right? The aliveness of the trees, the aliveness of the animals that depend on that landscape, the aliveness of the forest floor underneath you. And so to me, this is true equanimity, is when we can hold both that deep intimacy and the immensity at the same time. May I trust the unfolding, right? And so I want to share with you too, and we're going to go into an exercise here in a moment. We're going to do a practice together of working with these equanimity phrases, but not the traditional phrases. I'm gonna share with you uh, a really wonderful teacher from the East Coast, who's part of the Swana community. Sarah Shapuri has some really beautiful equanimity phrases that she's collected, and I'll share these with you. And we're going to work with these in our practice together. She says, "I care about you, and I cannot control your happiness or sorrow. I care about you, and I entrust you to your journey. I care about you, and I understand you have your own path to follow." Can you feel how all three of those phrases have that intimacy, right? The caring, it's like the compassionate turning towards, and the immensity, right? They have both of those qualities together. Then she goes on, she says, "I release you from my expectations and attachment. I release my attachment to how things are for you." And I love this one. She says, "I entrust you to your life and respect you on your journey." And the last one is, "I let go of my demands for you and your life." And so do you feel those qualities in this, right? These qualities, right? The intimacy and the immensity. And this is really, and let me, I'm going to put these in the chat too, so that you can collect them if you would like to use them in your life because they are very sweet. Just getting those in there right now. Oh, and I don't want you to lose the source. And so we're going to practice with these right now. And so what I want to invite you to is to think about for yourself. We're not practicing yet. I'll let you know when we go into practice. Okay. I won't it won't be like a gradual thing. I'll be like, we're practicing now. um, but I want you to think about some situation in your life where you sense it would be really helpful for you to have more equanimity. And here's the thing. I'll tell you what I'm not working with right now. I'm not working with our national impending crisis. That is like, for me, that's like a 10 on a 1 to 10 scale, right? I encourage you to work with something that's more like like a 3 or 4, something under 5, right? So something that's not like, oh my God, I'm going to need every single ounce of equanimity I could ever muster up. But I'm inviting you to um, a place in your life where you need equanimity that's more like, that's a little more gentle. Like maybe something that's been kind of like a chronic thing that you've been working with for a long time, that you've like kind of gone out of like, gone through different ups and downs with. It could be like a situation at work where you feel this kind of like, sort of constant, like mild irritation around. That's a good place to work. It's often good to have it focus on a particular person, right? Maybe somebody who you have a little friction with, but not a lot, right? And so you're titrating your experience, but you're giving yourself just enough to work with. You want just enough friction to work with, but not so much that you get overwhelmed. Does that make sense? Because like you're here for your lunchtime practice, and and like and so I want this to be really nourishing for you in whatever way is possible. So, all right, we're going to go into our practice in a moment. So if there's anything you need to take care of, if there's anything that you need to like remember that you have a body, if you need to stretch or adjust or get another pillow or anything else. So Madeline's asking, I care about you and I cannot control your happiness or sorrow. The you is another person in this, usually. Yeah, the you is going to be the person that you're thinking about in this. It could be some, that's like a thinking about it in relationship to ourselves is going to be a little bit different. Yeah. Oh, thanks. Good to see you, Lyric. All right, go ahead and get settled in. You're welcome to have your camera off or on. Find your comfortable position, sitting, standing, lying down, whatever makes sense for your environment and for your body. Let yourself lean back a little bit into your back body. You can let your eyes softly close if that's comfortable for you. Otherwise, you can leave them open with a light, unfocused gaze just right in front of you. With your inhale, invite in length and spaciousness all the way up through the crown of the head. Keeping that length and openness through the chest and belly. On your exhale, let yourself root, let yourself settle into the support of that quality of the earth underneath you. And notice your breath here. Notice how your inhale lifts and fills your chest and belly. Now your exhale lets your chest and belly soften and release. Maybe the breath is clear for you through the back of the throat or through the nostrils or along the upper lip. Wherever the breath is clearest for you, let that be the place you return to. The sensations of the breath moving in and out of the body are your guide, or you can come home again to this moment at any time. Know that thoughts will arise. See if you can be really gentle, loving, friendly towards whatever thoughts might arise. Meeting them with so much gentleness. And then gently inviting yourself, accompanying yourself back to the breath. And maybe there are sounds that capture your attention for a moment. So if you can meet them and the thoughts that then arise around them with that gentleness. No need to make them wrong, no need to make yourself wrong. And then just invite yourself to land back in the simple sensation of the breath moving in and out of the body. Maybe there are sensations arising in the body of coolness or pain, some sort of discomfort. And again, see if you can just notice those. Ah, yes, this too. And with so much gentleness, see if you can invite yourself to rest into the breath. You're accompanying yourself back to the breath like a dear friend. And just notice what's here. I'm going to invite you now to evoke that situation or that person in which you feel like you would like to invite in more equanimity. Invite in your own capacity for equanimity to grow and expand. And I want you to just Try on the phrases. You can repeat them internally to yourself. And you're not trying to make them fit. You're seeing if any of them authentically resonate, if any of them resonate with your innate capacity for equanimity. Help wake it up. Any of them help you tap into your own ability to be both with the intimacy and the immensity. So, holding the sense of curiosity, the situation, this person, try out these phrases. I care about you, and I cannot control your happiness or sorrow. I care about you, and I cannot control your happiness or sorrow. I care about you, and I entrust you to your journey. I care about you, and I entrust you to your journey. I care about you, and I understand you have your own path to follow. I care about you, and I understand you have your own path to follow. I release you from my expectations and attachment. I release my attachment to how things are for you. I entrust you to your life and respect you on your journey. I entrust you to your life and respect you on your journey. I let go of my demands for you and your life. I let go of my demands for you and your life. May I trust the unfolding. May I trust the unfolding. And if you're working with something around yourself, some part of yourself where you'd like to offer more equanimity, you can try on the phrase, may I see myself with quiet eyes. May I see myself with quiet eyes. And if none of these phrases really resonate for you, there's an invitation to try on a phrase that meets you where you are, that meets what you need in this moment. A phrase that helps you be with both the intimacy and the immensity of what it means to be this corner of the universe that goes by your name. Here are some more phrases to explore from Ruth King. May I bear witness to things just as they are. May I remain peaceful and let go of fixation. I care for all beings, but my way is not the only way. All beings have their own journey, and I have mine. And see if you can breathe with any of these phrases that have really resonated for you. Like applying them like a balm to your heart. And as you breathe here, invite yourself back to your breath. Hmm. And just notice how the practice felt in your body. You can stretch and move. I'll share in the chat also these some of the other phrases that I was using. From Ruth King, who's another really wonderful teacher. Also has some phrases that you might want to capture. And so I want to leave some space for us to just talk and share. And what how does this land for you? Did any of the equanimity phrases really resonate for you? Is there some way in which, equanimity is a challenging practice for you as well? So I'd really love to hear from you about, yeah, how's your equanimity muscle? From Lori B. Such a good reminder that we can only control ourselves. Yeah. Yeah, it's so true. It's like part of it gets us out of our own head around thinking that somehow, if we had control of everything, everything would be okay. If people only listen to us. Yeah, my way is not the only way exactly. Yeah, there's something really, really beautiful about that. It's seeing that we're part of much larger forces around us and seeing that, everybody has their own path and that it's one of the really beautiful things about this practice is that there's a way in which it allows everyone to be in process, right? This is something that's really important in the I do a lot of racial justice work with white folks, and there's a way in which, in a lot of white racial justice spaces, there's this expectation that everybody comes in with this kind of like equal level of wokeness, and if you're not equally woke, then you don't belong. And I really liked, and instead, like, it's really important for me to be in spaces like that where it's like everybody gets to be in process. Everybody's in process and, unlearning racism and white supremacy. And that's so important to me, that we're all just really seen that way as being in process. Oh, Madeline is asking, I would love to hear you expand on the quiet eyes. Yeah, the idea of that. How can we work with this more? Yeah, so I love this particular phrase. This is like one of Ruth King's phrases. Oh, yeah, thank you, Andy. May I see the world with quiet eyes. And this phrase in particular, I really love. And it's like, may I see myself with quiet eyes? May I see the world with quiet eyes, right? Is that it carries with it actually equanimity in the way that I'm teaching it right now as one of the 4 divine abodes in Buddhism, along with loving kindness, joy, compassion, and then equanimity. And to me, this phrase really embodies both equanimity, there's compassion in it, right? Of like not having judgment, but offering care. And then there's also, I think, loving kindness in it as well, of like that turning towards the world and ourselves with deep friendliness. So, like, that little phrase packs a punch. There's a lot going on with it, right? May I see myself with quiet eyes. May I see the world with quiet eyes. It's like looking at ourselves and the world with a gentleness behind it instead of with that like turning on like our critique, our judgments. Instead, it's like really softening around what we're seeing, what we're taking in, how we take it in. And it requires, here's some things that are challenging about it, right? It requires us to slow down. Right? seeing the world with quiet eyes means we slow down a little bit. We're slowing down and we're being mindful. Like, oh, here's a judgment. Here's an assumption, right? Here's this idea that I have. Here's my own conditioning and beliefs, right? And we like slow that down a little bit and like pull that back. And we're like, oh, look, here are things as they are, right? So that to me is like the quiet eyes. And I'd love to, if anybody wants to share what that particular phrase means to them or how that resonated for them, if any of the other phrases resonated for you, would love to hear from you about that. Yeah.
It puts me in a place of innocence for me. So with the quiet eyes is I'm looking like the childlike wonder, like when when I was very young, right? Baby almost. And it was that innocence of everything. I didn't see no guilt trips, no none of that. It was just this beautiful innocence. So that's what it comes up to me, Kimber. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Jerry. Yeah, that's a beautiful that invoking that childlike innocence is so palpable. And I just want to say you're really onto something with that. Because one of the most important stories in Buddhism, and maybe you've heard this one before, is that Buddha went through a lot of ascetic, really intensely disciplined, even like self-destructive ascetic practices of like not eating and, you know, um, meditating for long hours without doing any like taking care of his body or anything. And he one day as he was practicing, he remembered a time when he was a child, right? Just like you were talking about. Remembered a time when he was a child and he was sitting under, it's called the rose apple tree. And he was looking at the world with these like just very quiet eyes, and he felt this deep sense of peace come over him. And he remembered, like, oh, like that sense of peace didn't actually come out of these very intense ascetic practices. It came out of just resting into the moment, right? And that's what took him off this very intense ascetic path and helped him find the middle way, right? And so like that, you're really onto something there. Like that, seeing the world with quiet eyes can be like such a powerful, even like enlightening state, right? Yeah, thanks for sharing. Let's see, I'm looking also at the chat. Absorbing instead of seeking or looking at. Yeah, thank you, Louisa. And then I find these phrases very helpful. I think they'll really help me when my house is full at Christmas, right? Yeah. Christmas equanimity, holiday equanimity. Yeah. And then Jean is saying, I didn't see the additional phrases from you on the chat. Oh, I'm sorry. I probably just sent them to Madeline. Yep.
I'll take care of it. I'll put it in the
Okay,
chat.
thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Madeline. Thank you, Jean, for spotting that. I appreciate it. um, did I not? Oh yeah. So I sent Sarah Shapuri's one to everyone, but not Ruth King. Got it. Okay. Madeline's gonna send those. Yeah. Anyone else want to share anything? We still have a few more minutes to hear shares. What else are you hoping to have more equanimity with? Maybe you adapted one of the phrases that we were working with in practice. Oh yeah, thanks for that, Madeline. Oh yeah, so maybe not everybody got all the phrases. Yeah, thanks.
I got it. No problem.
Great. Yeah. Um, the other thing that I want to mention, because Madeline asked about it earlier, is like how to hold equanimity towards ourselves, is so important. Oh, Jean, did you want to say something? Go ahead.
I got a little notice that said the host would like you to unmute, so I muted. okay. I will share though, one thing during meditation that really stuck out for me was in thinking of my situation, I didn't realize how many expectations I had around how the other person should be or should do or should I really wow, I didn't realize that was just a light bulb for me. Yeah, I didn't realize that my expectations of them played such a role in the my resistance, my friction.
Oh, that's such a beautiful insight. Such good noticing, right? Thank you for that. I was like, yeah, like we're often not conscious of the ways in which our expectations are really shaping how we view other people, right? Of like, this person should be doing this and they shouldn't be doing that. And if only this and if only that. And then the minute they come into our view, this whole crowd of judgments just like lands on them, right? And that's an intense thing to operate through, right? To realize, that we're putting that on the other person. That's heavy for them and it's heavy for us. And it doesn't actually let us see them and relate to them. Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for that, Jean. That's really beautiful. Yeah. Anyone else? I think we have time for one more share if somebody would like to join in. Ah, the equanimity of whether or not to share. Fire Lion.
Yeah, hey, I'd love to share a few things briefly. In the meditation, I was working my best friend, my dear best friend, and sometimes she will share stories and situations of her life that I see being very cyclical. And sometimes, like in my heart, I'm like, oh, girl, like you're going through that again. And so, particularly the phrases of I release you from my expectations and attachment. I release my attachment to how things are for you, and I let go of my demands for you in your life. Are really resonating because I still want to be the best friend I can for her. And like, she'll share stuff that like brings stuff up for me, and I want to give her advice, or I just want to tell her, no, stop, don't do that. When really she just needs me to be there and listen.
Oh yeah, thanks so much for that, Fireline. It's so true. There's something about these phrases that are very clearing. It's almost like it's like taking a cloth and like cleaning the screen, right? Cleaning the mirror, cleaning the window, and being able to see clearly through it instead of seeing all of our judgments and expectations and attachment and all of that. And then that possibility of really being able to show up for someone in the way that they need in that moment, because we've taken the time to clear all of that away within ourselves. That's very powerful. Yeah, thanks for that. I love Fireline that you really brought our attention to how this practice can help us show up for other people. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, thank you all so much. It's really, really lovely to get to share these equanimity practices with you today. And I hope that you do, take them with you into this holiday season, into the coming year. Equanimity can be a really good, like I often recommend to my students to pick a word for the year that they want to like engage with and embody and encourage them. And equanimity can be a really good word, and especially with present day conditions. Going to need a lot of equanimity, right? And action and other things. But yeah, there you go. Thank you. I'm going to turn it back over to Madeline. Thank you.
Thank you. Kimber, if folks want to contact you or study with you or attend any of your things, do you want to put maybe your website or whatever way they could contact you in the chat?
Yeah, I'll just give folks my email is fine.
Okay, that's great. Yeah.
To reach out. And we'll do a little dedication of our dedication of the merit rite.
Yes. Okay, great. Then I'll just really quickly let everyone know. I just put in the chat right now our link to the upcoming speakers. Next week, we have Heidi Bourne, who's a wonderful teacher, and I believe they're teaching a retreat at Big Bear Retreat Center in the spring with another teacher. So check that out. And thank you so much for joining today. And yeah, Kimber, we have about 3 minutes or so. If you want to do a nice closing with some dedication of merit, that would be lovely.
Yeah, let's do it. So just settle in for one more moment. May the goodness and wholesomeness of our practice here together be a benefit to ourselves and to each other. May it benefit all of the tender, wounded places within our heart, provide a healing balm. May the benefits ripple out to assist, to help, to support all those we love. May it ripple out to our communities and the communities beyond our communities. May it help alleviate the suffering of all those who are ill, isolated, incarcerated, in fear. May this practice, in whatever way possible, to all realms without exception, to the ancestors, may it be of benefit. May it support the liberation of all beings everywhere. Thank you. Thank you all so much.
Thank you. And you're all invited to come off mute if you want to say goodbye and wish everyone a good day. And hopefully we'll see all of you next Wednesday if you're free. We'll be off the following Wednesday for the holiday. So join us next Wednesday if you can.
Thank you. Thank
Bye,
you.
Kimber and Madeline. Thank
Thanks. This
you.
was
Bye.
lovely.
Thank you so
I
much.
got so much from
Thank
it.
you very much.
Good. Nice to
Bye,
see
everybody.
you all. So
Thanks.
good to see you all.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining. All right, Kimber, have a lovely day.
Thanks, you too.
And we'll connect with you soon, I'm sure.
Great.
Okay.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Thank you.
Oh, good. I'm glad you all were here. Thank you for joining.
Thanks.
Okay, bye-bye.